This one's for you Cowboys fans. The NFC East is getting broke down today. And I used to say that in a joking way, but then I did a deep dive breaking down some stuff going into this episode, and I don't think I can say it in a joking way anymore. It really is probably the worst division. And now, why I say that is because we've all heard the stat recently how, the Cowboys break the curse, and there hasn't been a back-to-back winner since that 03 and then 04. But even before that, the Eagles actually won it, I think, 4 or 5 times in a row, like 2001, 2002, 3, and 4. And I was really thinking about it. Why not? Why hasn't there been a back-to-back winner since 2004? And is it because the competition is just that good in that division? Or is there something going on that we're not really seeing that's happening kind of behind the scenes? And so this is kind of weird. I just kind of stumbled upon this idea as I was looking into some stuff. And I did the average from 2005, so the year that the Eagles finally didn't win, broke that streak, and there wasn't a back-to-back winner. So 2005 to the present season, I broke down the average amount of wins it takes to win each division, okay? So I did the AFC West, AFC South. I did all of them. NFC East, NFC North. And here's what I found out. So we'll start with the NFC since we're in the NFC. NFC South, okay? 11.82, so almost 12 wins. That's the average, okay? From 2005 to present day, the average amount of wins it's taken to win that division. NFC North, same exact number, 11.82. NFC West, 11.23. If you rounded it, it'd be 11.24. And then we'll go ahead and I'll save the NFC East for last. The AFC East, all right, 12.24 wins. The average amount of wins it takes to win that division is in the 12s. It's actually the only one that's in the 12s. But the AFC West, 11.71. Okay, the AFC North, 11.41. And then the AFC South, same as the North, 11.41. So if you've noticed, all of those are in the 11s and almost 11.5. Okay? Now, the NFC East, it was almost shocking. It's 10.65. So it's a little over 10.5 since 2005. The average wins that a team needs to win that division, it's over a full game less than most divisions, and it's not in the 11s like every other division is. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. It is the NFC least. And I know a lot of people like to say the AFC South is garbage, but AFC South, 11.412, okay? Almost a full game more to win that division over the averages since 2005 than the NFC East. So, I know we've had Super Bowl champs come out of there, okay? Eagles a couple of years ago. All right, Giants and Eli Manning used to have those crazy miracle runs in the playoffs, okay? But I think it just goes to show that it's not because the competition is great that there hasn't been a back-to-back winner. More so that the competition is so poor and that you don't have to win 11 games. You don't have to win 12 games to win this division. Some seasons, 7 games won this division. That's pretty bad, all right? And I also had a friend Davis Carter, sent me this stat, and it was all four of the NFC East teams are the most valuable. They make the most money of the top 10 most valuable teams. So 4 out of the top 10 teams are from the NFC East. All right, so it's a cash cow. The NFC East pulls in a lot of money for the NFL, right? And I got to thinking about that and why that is, since they're such a bad division, okay? And I thought at first, maybe people like the underdogs, right? Or is it that? Or is it one of those things, and I know we've probably all seen, this type of skit in a show or on a movie or something, where it's like the really rich people run into the really poor people, and it's like they're fascinated with them, like, like they can't believe that they would actually live the way that they live, and it's funny to the rich people, right? Like a king making his jester dance, okay? Now, I know that these players and these teams are much more rich than the viewers, but maybe the viewers just enjoy seeing what we would maybe consider pitiful, all right? Do you guys remember how the Cowboys left the playoffs last year? Okay, they decided to do a QB sneak with 14 seconds left. That is laughable. That is one of the most ludicrous, ridiculous things I've ever seen. I don't know how McCarthy still has a job after pulling that, okay? It's just awful. It's garbage, all right? But it is funny. It does make for good content. If you want to laugh, go watch some of these NFC East teams. That's what I've always said, all right? And another thing that's funny is the past 2 years, me and a buddy have made stake bets. So we say, before the season ever starts, like, I bet the Cowboys don't win more than 8 games. That's what it was 2 years ago. And if they didn't, then he'd have to buy me steak dinner after the season. If they did, I'd have to buy him. And then last year, I think it was that the Rams would make it farther than the Cowboys in the playoffs. And I've won it 2 years in a row. The 2 years that we've done it, I've gotten a free steak dinner because I've betted against the Cowboys. All right? So I think it's just laughable how much people buy into the Cowboys specifically. All right? And so to go ahead and get into my winners and losers of the division, winning, I've got the Eagles. And I've got the Eagles actually winning 11 games. I kind of went back and forth between 12 and 11. And I think they could pull off 12, but, sometimes I have to fight between optimism and realism. I like to be optimistic. I'm optimistic about a lot of things. But I feel like in sports in the NFL, my breakdowns of this, while sometimes I am a little bit more optimistic, I feel like with this division, you have to be more realistic, okay? Because, like I said earlier, it's not going to take them 12 games to win this division. They could probably easily do it in 11 this year. And I think they do win it. I think they do get 11 wins. So they've got a really well-built team, especially for what they are trying to do. Good offensive line, good defense. They're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be able to run the ball. And the difference between a guy like Jalen Hurts and, he's a dual-threat quarterback, right? Arm, not the best, but his legs, really good for a quarterback. And the difference between a guy like Jalen Hurts or Lamar, who's the same way, great legs, good, okay arm, and a guy like Josh Allen, who we all know he can run the ball, is that, Josh Allen is a pass first, run second, whereas these guys are run first, pass second. At least that's how we're projecting Hurts to be this year. That's how it was last year. And that really builds up well, not for longevity, not for record breakers, not for iconic quarterbacks, but just a great season, okay? And I think it's building up to Jalen Hurts having a great season. I think it does something to the defense knowing that this isn't a quarterback like we would face any other Sunday. This is a guy that wants to run first and can beat us by running first. And so I think it kind of has some type of weird juju, weird mojo on the defense. And I think just like we saw a couple of years ago with Lamar Jackson having his MVP season, I mean, if I had to put down a favorite for MVP this year, I might go with Jalen Hurts just because I think we're going to see that big season from Jalen Hurts this year. And now, I don't think that his receivers are going to hugely benefit from that. I don't think that AJ Brown is just going to be that constant starter every week. You know, he's going to burn you some weeks. Some weeks he's going to have a great week for you. But if I'm going to draft anybody from this Eagles team, it's only one person, and it's Jalen Hurts. I think he ends top 4, top 5 fantasy quarterbacks by the end of the season. And he's my favorite for MVP right now anyways. And then we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the Cowboys. So I've got the Cowboys winning 10 games, okay? Now, they're not necessarily as lethal as they have been in the past. CeeDee Lamb is like their only wide receiver healthy right now, okay? There's not a lot of other guys. Now, I think Jalen Tolbert, he's going to play a crucial role in this offense. I think that the running backs, Zeke and Tony Pollard, I think it's going to be a lot more like Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams was last year, just a running back split, running back committee. And I think that there's going to be valuable weeks from each of those guys in fantasy, unless if we just absolutely see Zeke fall off a cliff this year, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be smart about how they use Zeke. He's going to have good production, but he won't just get the work that he once had. He won't have as many touches as he once had. He won't have as many receptions as he once had. He won't be out there for as many downs. So I think it's going to be more of a true split between those two. And, if CeeDee Lamb really wants to have a good season, we're going to need to see his touchdowns go up. He's been a little lacking. He's lacked a little on the touchdown side of things so far in his NFL career. And, kind of as I pointed out earlier, with not really a whole lot of receiver competition there, I think this is the season that it does happen. If it's ever going to happen, I think this is it. Now, I don't like where he's going in the draft. He's going at the 204 spot, and I haven't taken him once in any draft, any mock draft, like any sort of type of draft, and I've done a lot of different types of drafts for fantasy football. I haven't taken CeeDee Lamb once just because I don't like where he's going. I'm not sure about that touchdown progression that he will actually have more touchdowns. And I just, he's athletic. He's an athletic freak, an athletic maniac. But is he really the skillful sort of wide receiver that can be consistent, that can have a positive, can't see his touchdowns go up this season and then see it next season and then see the season afterwards? So just with the people that are going around that area, I might not see the upside, but I think his floor is a lot lower than the other guys going around that area. And so that's why I haven't really been taking him. I feel like it's a little bit more of a safe bet for me to draft someone else at that spot. But if you want the upside of that, I totally understand it. I totally get it. I'm not. There's been one dude the past few years from the Cowboys that I would draft. Now I say that I did have Dak one year in a league as a quarterback, and I wasn't upset with it. But that's Amari Cooper. That's somebody I was actively targeting in most drafts in the past few years. I just always have. I've liked him as a talent, as a prospect. I think, now that he's going to Cleveland, I'm not as optimistic, especially with the quarterback situation going on there. But I always liked Amari Cooper better than the other Dallas wide receivers, better than a lot of receivers. Now, last year that kind of burned me a little bit, but it is what it is. You can't win them all in fantasy football, right? So let's go ahead and let's move on and let's talk about the Giants now. Got them coming in third in this division, winning 7 games. Honestly, they are my dark horse of this division. And, why I want them to be good, but kind of like I said, being realistic in this division, you just never know who's really going to poop the bed. All right? And I could see any of these teams not performing as well as I have them statted out. But, I want to see Daniel Jones do good. I want to see him succeed as a quarterback. I want to see him win. I'm hesitant on all the wide receivers there. The one guy that I would draft on this team, last year we saw Daniel Jones have some good weeks, right? And, we also saw a lot of his wide receivers injured, and so that hurt him a lot. So I think if his wide receivers stay healthy, I think Daniel Jones is going to be a nice piece on some fantasy league teams. For some of you managers out there, if you have super flex, he'd be a lovely second quarterback in that. If it's a 2-quarterback league, that's great. I wouldn't mind. I would love having him as my second quarterback with the optimism that I have for him this year. But being realistic, 7 games, that's not good. It's not terrible. But one guy that I am not even just being optimistic, but thinking he's going to have another good season on this team is Saquon. His rookie year, he had 91 receptions. The year after that, it went down to about 54. Then he got that bad injury in the year after that. And then last season, went up to about 43. And we saw him battle through injuries last season as well. And so I think a fully healthy Saquon, I think he's understood more so of what it takes to have a healthy body in the NFL after being so young and seeing so many injuries. And last year, that ankle roll was just kind of a freak accident. There was nothing about that he could do. And I think we sort of see it mirror itself where, it went 91, like 54, then the injured season, and then it goes back up to 41. And this season, if you want to go ahead and fill in that blank, I think he's going to see about 80 receptions, right? Because even if these receivers do stay healthy and Saquon stays healthy the whole season, why wouldn't he get the ball more than them? Not only is he a bigger name than everybody on that team, including the wide receivers, but he's more of a raw talent than those guys. I think he's able to do more and create more than those guys. So I think we see that reception total go back up for Saquon this year. The touchdowns go back up, the yardage go back up. I'm excited to see what he does this year. I wasn't excited about him last year because of the injury season coming off of that. But this year, I think it could be a nice turnaround for Saquon. And then last, I've got the Commanders. And I've got them winning 6 games. And, we all saw Carson Wentz last year with the Colts. It was lackluster, right? I was kind of excited for the Colts and Jonathan Taylor going into last year. And to see what Carson Wentz would do, with Frank Reich being reunited with him. and it just didn't really go the way that I wanted it to go, the way I thought it would go. And, it really kind of made me see that Carson Wentz is just Carson Wentz, right? He's not the prospect that he once was going into the NFL. He's not that guy he even performed like that at one point in the NFL. And he's not that anymore. Now, compared to Taylor Heinicke, he does have a more accurate deep ball, and that's where we see Terry McLaurin thrive. Okay? And so I think we see a better season this year for Terry McLaurin. I am excited for Terry McLaurin this year. I think he'll have more touchdowns this year. I think he'll have more receptions this year. I've seen stats about how on deep targets, Terry McLaurin had I don't remember the exact number. It was an absurd amount that were deemed uncatchable, though. And Carson Wentz is not going to give him that many that are uncatchable, especially with the talent that Terry McLaurin is and being able to go up and grab them over some guys and, be a tough wide receiver and take the ball, So I think Terry McLaurin thrives. I think he has a good season. These running backs, I've never really been an Antonio Gibson guy. I was a little optimistic about him a month ago or so, and that optimism has just slowly gone more in the wrong way as we get closer to the season, just because we keep on hearing all this, stuff about, it's looking more like a split backfield, more like a committee and stuff, and so, Antonio Gibson, it is what it is. I bet he's, probably done in the next 2 years, probably a backup or a practice string guy for some team in 3 years. But, I would just say don't draft him. All right. Now, I could be completely wrong. I should be going with what I was thinking a few months ago, and that Antonio Gibson is going to really perform and do well, but I don't know. I think whenever I update my running back list, I think last time I did it, which was right after the draft, I had him at about the running back 16 by the end of the season, maybe even 15, somewhere around there. Could have even been 14. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at that list. But I think once I update it again and I go over my running back review before the season, he might be my 19th, 20th, right? So just where he's going, he might fall to you and have a good ADP. He might have a good price. Take him if you're willing to. I'd probably take him if it was the right spot. I was good on receivers. If I was good on... It would have to be perfect. It would literally have to be perfect for me to take Antonio Gibson this season. Okay? I would already have to have 2 starting running backs that are good. I'd have to have somebody I think is going to be a top 5 tight end. I'd probably want at least 3 wide receivers. So that's Antonio Gibson falling to me in the 7th round. And, if I'm looking at Jalen Hurts in the 7th round, there's no way I'm taking Antonio Gibson. All right, that's it. Bottom line. Okay, I don't know. I don't see it happening. And, I might be calling it wraps a little too early, but, you've had a good season, Antonio. Or you've had a good career, Antonio, I should say. Because that's kind of what I'm calling. Next 2 years, he's probably done in the NFL. And so that's all I've got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't upset too many Dallas Cowboys fans out there. But remember, I'm just trying to be realistic. So y'all have a good one.